The ignored warning. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The Galactic Council chamber was bright and silent, the air filled with the hum of hundreds of alien diplomats sitting inside a grand circular hall. In the center, a hologram flickered, showing an old transmission. A human voice echoing from deep space, it said only one thing. "Do not provoke us again." The counselors looked at one another, and then laughter spread across the chamber. They called it a joke, a ghost message from a species long dead. The humans, they said, had destroyed themselves ages ago. Their homeworld was listed as barren, toxic and silent. The galaxy had moved on, and humanity had become nothing but a story to scare children. But one observer did not laugh. His name was Arrogance, a young Valari historian who had read the old archives. He remembered the ancient tales that spoke of Deathworlders, creatures who thrived where others would die. He had read the reports of planets burned in their wars, of machines built to fight even without a master. His scales trembled slightly as he listened to the voice repeating, "Do not provoke us again." Eric stood and spoke, his voice quiet but steady. "We should take this seriously," he said. "No one sends a signal like this without reason." The hall erupted in laughter again. The council head, a massive insectoid being named Dareth, slammed a metallic claw on the table. "Humans are gone," he said. "They are myths. Nothing more." Eric's wanted to speak again, but the others ignored him. Some delegates joked about hunting Deathworld relics. Others laughed at how humans once claimed they ruled the stars. The hologram shut down, and the council moved to other matters. Trade routes, taxes, and border skirmishes filled their agenda. The warning was forgotten, but outside the council walls, whispers spread among the lower species, the miners on the edge worlds, the scavengers drifting through old battlefields. They had seen strange lights in human sectors. They spoke of ghost signals and dark ships that moved without heat or sound. When Eric's heard these reports, he felt a cold fear settle in his chest. Late at night, he sat in the archive chamber, the only place left where human history was still recorded. The data was corrupted, old, and sealed under multiple security layers. He bypassed them carefully, scrolling through pages of old wars, images of burning skies and cities that glowed with fire. He saw humans fighting beasts larger than ships, facing impossible odds and still winning. They were not the strongest, but they were relentless. They never surrendered, they never stopped. Then he found something that made his blood freeze. A final entry from the year the humans vanished. It read, "We are leaving the known sectors. If they ever come for us again, we will return. And we will remember." Eric leaned back, his breathing heavy. "They didn't die," he whispered. They hid. The next morning, he brought his discovery to the council head. Dareth listened with amusement. "You bring ghost stories," he said. "We have fleets, armies, and alliances. If these humans still exist, they would be crushed like insects. But what if they don't fight like us?" Eric said softly. "What if they hunt?" Dareth rose from his chair, his tone final. "You will stop this nonsense, historian. Do not spread fear." The guards escorted Eric's out and the matter was closed. But that same night, across the outer rim, a Zelthar patrol detected something. A faint energy signature moving through the void. It wasn't a known ship type, it wasn't broadcasting any ID codes. "Probably debris," said the commander. But then the lights flickered. One of the crew shouted, "It's moving toward us." Moments later, the patrol vanished. No signal, no trace, just silence. Back at the council, the report came in the next day. Dareth read it and laughed again. "More pirates," he said, and dismissed it. But Eric saw the raw footage before it was deleted. For 1 second before the camera died, he saw it. Something vast, dark, and silent drifting through the stars. Its hull was black like space itself, marked with a glowing sigil, a burning star with wings, the same emblem that appeared in every old human record. Eric felt his heart pound as he stared at the frozen image. He whispered to himself, "They warned us far away beyond the rim." Something ancient moved through the dark, a fleet waking from centuries of silence. Guided by vengeance and on a cold, forgotten world, a human voice whispered once again into the void, "Do not provoke us again." The Vanished Patrol. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The Zelthar patrol fleet was a proud one, sleek ships lined with silver armor, engines burning bright blue across the cold darkness. They were elite soldiers, known for arrogance and laughter even during missions. This time, their target was simple: investigate the outer human sectors and prove that the warning signal was nothing but static. The commander, Captain Thrix, sat in his chair with a grin on his face. "The council fears ghosts," he said. "But I fear boredom." The crew laughed, scanning dead worlds and drifting rocks. They played old recordings mocking human culture, saying how strange and primitive it was. One crewmate even projected a hologram of an ancient Terran soldier and saluted mockingly. "Oh, great Deathworlder, come scare me," he said. Laughter filling the ship, but outside something moved. A faint blip appeared on their radar for only 1 second, then vanished. The ship's AI chimed. "Unidentified contact detected." Thrix waved it off. "Probably debris or a sensor ghost," he said. Hours passed. The crew got tired of silence. Some sang alien war songs, others slept. Only one technician, Jorah, noticed the pattern. Every 40 minutes, the same blip appeared and disappeared again. Always closer, always behind them, she called out nervously. "Commander, the contact is following us," Thrix frowned. "You're saying a rock is stalking us?" He joked. But when she pulled up the trajectory, his smile faded. The object was indeed following, adjusting course every time they moved, keeping the same distance like a shadow. "Send a probe," Thrix ordered. The small drone launched into the dark. Cameras recording. For a moment nothing appeared. Then the feed flickered, and for half a second, the image showed a dark shape blocking the stars, enormous, silent, without running lights. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal. And then the signal died. "Contact lost," the AI said. Thrix stared at the black screen, his voice dropped. "Arm the weapons," the crew scrambled. Cannons powered, shields raised, but the void remained still. The only sound was the hum of engines. Then one by one, their lights went out. The power grid crashed, emergency systems flickered red. The crew shouted over alarms. "What's happening?" Jorah screamed. "They're inside the system, someone's overriding us," Thrix shouted. "Who?" "We're in the middle of nowhere." Then a new signal appeared on the console. The language was unknown, but the translation system worked instantly. The message repeated in Old Terran English. "Target locked." The stars outside flashed white, and the fleet disappeared. No explosion, no wreckage, just gone. The sensors recorded a pressure wave before going dark. Hours later, a single escape pod drifted through the void, spinning slowly, its hull burned, its oxygen nearly gone. Inside, Jorah gasped weakly into the comm. "They came from nowhere," she whispered. "They hunted us." When the pod was recovered days later, the council scientists opened it expecting a malfunction. Instead, they found claw marks melted into the metal, as if something had dragged across it with fire. The ship logs were corrupted, but one audio clip survived. A faint heartbeat followed by a whisper. "Deathworlders." The council gathered again. Furious, Dareth slammed the report onto the table. "Another failure," he shouted. "Pirates are testing our borders." Eric sat quietly, his eyes fixed on the charred metal sample. He ran a scanner over it, and the readings made him freeze. The residue was human. Carbon-based alloy with a unique Terran signature, used only by human fleets thousands of years ago. Eric's whispered, "It's them." But no one wanted to hear. The council erased the report, sealed the evidence, and ordered silence, Dareth declared. The public will not panic over myths, yet rumors spread faster than light. Miners spoke of ghost ships gliding between asteroid fields, silent and unseen. Merchant convoys vanished without distress calls, and always the same message was found in their last logs. Target locked. Across the outer rim, fear replaced arrogance. Children whispered human legends again, prayers of protection spoken in alien tongues. But Eric's knew fear alone would not save them. He began secretly collecting fragments of the old archives, human weapon designs and battle logs. He didn't know why, but something deep inside told him the storm was only beginning. Far beyond the edge of the known stars, in the quiet black, a human voice broke the silence once more, calm, steady, and cold. They mocked the warning, it said. Now they will learn what it means to be hunted. The last transmission ended there, and the galaxy trembled. The Hunter appears. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The rescue vessel Valora's Grace drifted silently through the wreckage field. Sensors showed hundreds of scattered fragments from the missing Zelthar patrol. But the blackness between them felt wrong, too still, too cold. The captain, a nervous Varn named Leko, stared at the broken hulls. No energy traces, no plasma burns, no life pods, he whispered. It's like they were erased. The crew moved quietly, scanning for survivors. Finally, one sensor pinged. An escape pod. Drifting near a dead moon, they brought it aboard. The metal was twisted, half melted as if something had carved through it like butter. Inside lay Jorah, the Zelthar technician, her skin pale, her breathing shallow. Her claws clutched a black data crystal. When the medics tried to remove it, she screamed, "Don't let them hear." Before falling unconscious, the recording was old, damaged, but Eric's, now assigned to analyze the incident, watched every frame. He saw darkness, static, then a single shape appearing behind the patrol fleet. A ship, massive, curved, with no visible engines or markings. Its surface shimmered like liquid night, absorbing all light around it. Then a faint glow pulsed from its center, a burning star symbol, the same symbol found on every Terran dreadnought. The video ended with one chilling word spoken in English, deep and calm: hunted. Eric's felt his heart pounding. He replayed the footage again and again, trying to convince himself it was fake. But the energy readings matched no known technology. The hull was beyond anything the Council's fleets could produce. The signature was unmistakably human. He rushed to the Council chamber, data crystal in hand. "It's them," he said. "Humans, alive. And they are hunting." Dareth looked at the hologram with cold amusement. "Preposterous," he said. "You're chasing myths." "Look at the readings," Eric insisted. "They use no warp trails, no signals, no energy leaks. They move faster than light but leave no trace. How can that be pirates?" The chamber filled with whispers, some fearful, some mocking. Finally, Dareth spoke again. "If your Deathworlders exist, we will destroy them again." Eric lowered his voice. "You didn't destroy them last time." Silence filled the hall. The Council dismissed him, but doubt had already crept into their minds. That night, on the far rim world of Targon, the sky turned red. Farmers looked up and saw something descending slowly through the clouds, a shape vast and silent. No engines, no fire. Just darkness blotting out the stars. Then, a voice came over every communication line in perfect translation. "Do not run," it said. "You started this." The next morning, Targon was gone. The planet didn't explode. It didn't burn. It simply vanished from all star charts. Replaced by static and radiation, the galaxy went into panic. Trade routes were abandoned. Colonies went dark. Fleets recalled to defend core worlds for the first time in centuries. The mighty Council felt fear. Eric's was called again. This time not to be mocked, but to explain. "How can we fight them?" asked Dareth, his tone quiet now. Eric's looked tired. "You can't," he said. "They don't fight wars, they hunt one by one, system by system, until nothing remains." The generals shouted, "We have millions of ships," Eric's whispered. "And they have patience." Across the galaxy, sightings multiplied. Each report the same, no warning, no battle. Just a shadow appearing in the void, then silence. The humans didn't broadcast demands, they didn't conquer worlds. They erased only those who had laughed, only those who had mocked the warning soon. Every Council member began sleeping with emergency evacuation orders ready. Every race remembered their part in humanity's exile. Some had enslaved humans once, others had experimented on them. All now feared repayment. Meanwhile, in the far edge of the galaxy, a human warship hovered above the black sands of an ancient ruin. The ship was silent, its crew unseen. Its AI spoke in calm human tone. "Target 3 complete. Begin next sequence." Below, broken alien monuments stood half buried, each one marked with a single carved sentence. "You were warned back on the capital world." Eric stood on his balcony watching the twin moons. His communicator blinked with a restricted message. It was a transmission from deep space, coordinates unknown. The screen flickered, showing a human figure in a dark suit. His face half-covered, eyes glowing faint blue. Eric's froze. The voice spoke clearly. "You tried to erase us," it said. "Now you will remember." Then the transmission cut. Eric's trembled, realizing what he had just seen was not a recording. It was live. They were watching him. He turned toward the stars and whispered, "The hunters are real." And in that endless darkness, the burning star symbol glowed once again, a promise written across the void. Humanity had returned, and this time they would not be ignored. The human retribution, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The first strike came without warning. No declaration, no fleet movement, no sound. One moment the stars above the Council capital were calm. The next, alarms screamed through every channel. Ships blinked off scanners, communications died, and the sky tore open like a wound. Through that rift, a single vessel appeared, massive and silent. It wasn't like any alien design. There were no curved wings, no shimmering shields, just dark armor and a cold red glow beneath the hull. The ship was blacker than space itself. Every light absorbed into its surface on its front. An emblem burned bright. The ancient human mark, the burning star. Inside the council tower, chaos erupted. Dareth shouted commands. Activate the defense grid. Cannons turned toward the intruder, charging plasma weapons powerful enough to destroy moons. Yet before they could fire, every control panel went dark. The entire defense network shut down. A voice echoed across all frequencies, smooth and emotionless. You were warned. The human ship didn't move fast, it didn't need to. It released a pulse, a wave of invisible energy that swept across the city. Lights died, engines stalled, even hearts seemed to pause. Then came the silence, deep and endless. The towers of the council capital began to disintegrate slowly, matter peeling away as if time itself had turned against it. Dareth stood at the window, his reflection dissolving into dust. In his final moment, he whispered. It was true. Eric, standing miles away, watched the capital vanish in a flash of light. He fell to his knees, unable to breathe. Around him, alien civilians screamed, trying to flee into ships that no longer worked. The sky glowed red as the massive vessel turned slowly, scanning the planet below, but the humans didn't finish them all. Not yet. They struck only the leadership, the ones who ignored the warnings. The rest were left alive, to remember. Across the galaxy, reports flooded in. Entire armadas vanished within minutes. Orbital fortresses went silent. The humans didn't conquer. They cleansed one system at a time. In the star cluster of Varanes, a fleet of 800 ships formed a defensive line, the largest in recorded history. Admiral Cross, an old warrior, stood ready. If they bleed, we can kill them, he said. His ships fired first. A storm of energy lighting up the void, but the beams passed through the darkness. Hitting nothing, then came the reply, one shot. A beam of pure light cutting across the void. It lasted less than a second. When it ended, there was no fleet left, only drifting dust and silence far away. On the council's backup command station, Eric's watched the transmission with shaking hands. They are not fighting a war, he said quietly. They are ending one. The alien species tried everything. Bioweapons, gravity mines, null fields, but nothing stopped the silent fleets of humanity. The humans didn't broadcast victory speeches. They didn't demand surrender. They hunted with precision, striking only those who once called them monsters. Soon, thousands of worlds stood dark. Communication networks filled with distress calls that no one answered. Only one pattern was always the same. Each destroyed system left behind a signal beacon, transmitting endlessly into the void. We warned you. On the outer colonies, stories spread that the humans had evolved beyond flesh, that their ships were alive, powered by the minds of soldiers who once swore vengeance. Some said they were not returning to conquer the galaxy, but to erase every trace of those who had tried to erase them. In the ruins of the council world, Eric's wandered alone, dust swirling in the air. He entered the destroyed archive chamber and found something glowing beneath the rubble, a black shard, smooth and warm. He picked it up, and a voice whispered from it, soft and human. You listened, Eric's froze. Who are you? He whispered. The voice replied, the memory of Earth. The shard projected images, oceans burning, skies torn apart, alien fleets above Earth long ago, and then ships launching from the dying planet. Humans leaving behind their world to one day return. They never died, Eric said softly. They waited. As the shard faded, Eric looked up to the sky. He could see faint trails of red light crossing between stars, thousands of human ships moving in silent formation, a storm sweeping across the galaxy. And then, through every radio, every speaker, every transmission line in known space, a single phrase echoed again, calm, steady, eternal. This is not revenge, the voice said. This is balance. The galaxy trembled, and the age of humans, the hunters, had begun. The fall of the Council, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The galaxy was burning. Whole sectors once ruled by arrogance now stood silent and dark. The Galactic Council no longer existed as a government. It was just a name whispered in fear. Its surviving members scattered across space, hiding on remote moons and forgotten outposts, hoping the humans would not find them. But humans always found what they hunted. Eric stood in the ruins of Eric's Prime's orbit, watching from a small shuttle. The once proud capital now floated in shattered fragments, Continents torn apart. The glowing core of the planet pulsed faintly, as if its last heartbeat refused to stop. Beside him sat Admiral Vethra of the Circan Dominion, her golden armor dulled and cracked. "You said they were merciful once," she whispered. "Where is their mercy now?" Eric shook his head slowly. "Mercy belongs to those who listen to warnings," he said. "The Council never listened." Vethra looked out the viewport, eyes wide with fear. "We tried to rule, to control," she said. "And now they control everything." Suddenly, the stars outside flickered. Sensors screamed. Massive gravitational distortion detected. Eric's breath caught. He had seen this before. It was how they arrived. The space around the broken planet rippled like water, and then, out of the darkness, something vast appeared. It wasn't just a ship. It was a fortress of light and shadow, thousands of kilometers long, carved with glowing red lines like scars. The hull bore the same symbol, a burning star, bright as a sun. Every transmission across the system froze. Every voice fell silent, and then, through every device, every comm, came a calm human voice. "Council remnants detected," it said. "Sentence termination," Vethra screamed. "We surrender. We surrender." Her voice echoed through the silent bridge. But there was no reply. The ship began to charge a weapon, light gathering like a red sunrise. The shattered pieces of Eric's prime reflected the glow. Painting the void in crimson, Eric's closed his eyes. "They warned us," he whispered. "They warned us all." But just before the blast fired, something strange happened. The power stopped building. The massive weapon fell silent. The human fleet held position, unmoving. Then a smaller transmission came through, direct to Eric's console. It was a message, text only, ancient Terran code. "You are not one of them," Eric's froze. His claws trembling, he typed back slowly, "Who are you?" The reply came, "We are what remains. We are the ones they created to remember. You listened. You will bear witness." And then the message ended. The massive dreadnought turned slowly, its shadow passing over their shuttle like a mountain. It didn't fire, it didn't destroy them. It simply drifted away, disappearing into the stars, leaving only silence behind. Vethra collapsed to her knees. "They spared us," she whispered. Eric stared into the empty black. "No," he said quietly. "They spared me. They want someone to remember what happened." Across the galaxy, the last council worlds fell. The alien empires that had once mocked humanity were erased. Each world ended the same way, with a calm voice speaking before the destruction. "You were warned, soon." There were no more councils, no more empires, only scattered survivors living on forgotten rocks. Afraid to send signals, afraid to speak the word human, Eric's began to record everything he had seen, every moment of horror and awe. He stored it in ancient data archives under one title, The Age of Retribution. Years passed, the galaxy began to heal, silence returning where screams once echoed. But the scars remained, entire constellations erased, names of species lost forever, and yet, in the farthest reaches of the void, human ships still moved. Silently watching, they did not conquer. They did not rebuild empires, they simply watched the stars, ensuring that no one ever forgot. Eric's, now an old being, sat in a lonely station orbiting a dead moon. He looked at the burning star emblem etched onto his wall, and whispered, "You hunted the hunters." For a long moment, there was only the hum of the engines. Then, softly, a human voice answered through the static. "No," it said. "We remembered." The transmission faded, leaving Eric's alone beneath the endless black. But he smiled faintly. "Then maybe," he whispered, "the galaxy still has hope." Far away, a single human dreadnought glided through the dark, engine silent, hull glowing faintly red. The ship turned its sensors away from the old council sectors and moved toward uncharted stars. A new voice spoke from its bridge, soft and human. "Retribution complete. Begin exploration." And so, the hunters vanished again into the deep, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed, a universe that would never again laugh at a warning. The Last Refuge, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The galaxy was no longer a network of empires. It was a graveyard wrapped in silence. Stars that once glittered with trade beacons now floated in quiet darkness. Every alien race that had once laughed at humanity's warning now hid in fear. Far beyond the ruins of the old council space, deep in a nebula called the Shroud Veil, a small colony lived in shadows. It was a gathering of survivors, engineers, smugglers, deserters, those who had fled the war before the humans arrived. They called their home Haven's Rest, though there was no rest there. Only waiting. The colony had no bright lights, no transmissions. Its people spoke in whispers, terrified that a single signal might draw the hunters. Arrogance lived among them now, older, quieter. His scales had dulled, but his eyes still burned with memory. He had written everything he knew into an archive, the story of humanity's return, the warnings ignored, the council's fall, the sound of the sky breaking, but still one question haunted him. Why had the humans spared him? Every night he dreamed of the burning star emblem, of ships drifting through voids no living thing should survive. And always a voice spoke to him. Remember, one morning, the colony's alarm screamed for the first time in years. The sky above Haven's Rest split open, a wormhole blooming like a black flower. Everyone ran for cover, thinking the end had come. But the ship that appeared was small, far smaller than the massive dreadnoughts of the human fleet. It was sleek, silver-black, and silent. It didn't fire, it didn't move, it just hovered above the colony. Eric stepped forward, ignoring the shouts behind him. "They found us," someone cried. "We're finished." Eric raised a hand. "No," he said softly. "They've already finished." A beam of light descended from the ship. It wasn't a weapon, it was a signal. The air shimmered, and a figure appeared before him, a hologram of a human, female, dressed in dark armor with faint blue eyes. Her voice was calm, cold, and strangely sad. "You are Arrogance of the Valari," she said, "historian of the council, witness of their fall." Eric swallowed hard. "You spared me," he said. "Why?" The human looked at him, expression unreadable. "Because someone must remember what arrogance cost," she said. "We are not destroyers, we are recorders of balance," Eric frowned. "Then why did you end them all?" The hologram's eyes dimmed slightly. "Because they ended us first," she said quietly. "You called us monsters, hunted us, experimented on our kind. You burned our worlds and erased our name from your maps. We warned you again and again. But you didn't listen." She stepped closer, the hologram flickering softly. "We do not seek revenge anymore. The war is over. But the memory must remain," Eric whispered. "So this is justice?" The human tilted her head. "No," she said. "This is survival." The beam faded, but before it disappeared, she left behind a small, black device on the ground. Eric picked it up. The surface rippled with light, forming symbols. He realized it was a data core, human, ancient, powerful. He took it to the colony's main chamber. The others gathered around as he activated it. The room filled with images, human soldiers walking through the ashes of Earth, children being loaded onto starships, the last message humanity sent before leaving. "If we are forgotten," the voice said, "then those who mocked us will be forgotten too." Eric looked around the room, the aliens silent, eyes wide. "This," he said, "is their truth. They didn't come to rule. They came to erase the lie." For a long time, no one spoke. Then, from the crowd, a small alien child asked softly, "Will they come for us too?" Eric knelt beside her. "No," he said, "not if we remember." Outside, the human ship still hovered, watching. Then it turned slowly and disappeared into the nebula. Leaving no trace, Eric stood on the platform, looking at the stars. "They're not just hunters," he whispered. "They're guardians now." He uploaded his recordings into the human core, adding one final message. "This is Arrogance of the Valari, last historian of the fallen council I remember, and I will make others remember." Far away, deep in the void, aboard a massive human vessel, the hologram of the female officer watched his message appear on her screen. A faint smile crossed her face. "He understands," she said quietly. The AI beside her replied. "Then our work is done." The ship turned toward the distant spiral arms of another galaxy, engines humming softly. On its hull, the burning star emblem glowed one last time before fading into the dark. The humans were leaving again, not in anger this time, but in silence, carrying the memory of their vengeance and the burden of their survival. And somewhere in the quiet ruins of a broken galaxy, one voice, alien yet loyal, continued to whisper their story. "They warned us, we didn't listen, and they came back from the dark." The extinction verdict, HFY Sci-Fi Story, decades passed. And the galaxy never healed, the great empires were gone. Their monuments turned to dust, their names fading from memory. Only the scattered colonies remained. living quietly among the ruins, afraid to rebuild too loudly, afraid to call attention to themselves. The legend of humanity had changed over time. No longer were they called monsters or Deathworlders. Now they were known as the judges of the void, the ones who came only when balance was broken. Eric's was old now, his body frail, his mind heavy with memories. He lived in a small observatory above a dead moon. Surrounded by his archives, he spent his days writing, his nights watching the stars, waiting for that familiar shimmer, the burning star emblem that haunted his dreams. One evening, as he recorded his final thoughts, his sensors lit up, a faint pulse echoing through the void. It wasn't like the old attacks, it was calm, rhythmic like a heartbeat. He leaned closer, eyes wide. "They're back," he whispered. Outside, the darkness shifted, and a ship appeared, sleek, black, silent, larger than anything he had ever seen before. It filled the entire horizon, blocking out the light of the stars. The ship sent a message, not in sound, but in light. Symbols and waves of color danced across the void, forming patterns he almost understood. His translator struggled, until finally the message appeared in Terran English. "The cycle ends tonight." The sky around the moon glowed as hundreds of smaller ships emerged. Not for war, but for judgment. Each one spread across the system. Scanning, recording, observing. They weren't here to destroy, they were here to decide. Eric's activated his comm and sent a signal toward the massive ship. "I am Eric's of Valari," he said, his voice trembling. "I remember your warning," I told them. I never forgot. For a moment there was no reply. Then, the same female hologram appeared before him again, unchanged by time. "We know," she said softly. "You kept your promise." Eric's eyes filled with tears. "Then why are you here?" He asked. "What's left to hunt?" The hologram turned slightly, her gaze distant. "We came not to hunt," she said, "but to close the record." She lifted her hand, and a wave of light spread across the system. Every surviving world, every hidden colony, every fragment of data connected to the old council was scanned and preserved. Then the hologram looked back at Eric's, her voice soft. "The extinction is complete. The council's legacy ends tonight." Eric's took a step back. "Then, what becomes of us?" The human's eyes glowed faint blue. "You will live," she said, "but your history will not. It will fade because it must. Your kind will rebuild in peace, but without the arrogance that once ruled the stars." Eric's trembled. "You're erasing everything." The hologram nodded. "Yes. The only story that will remain is this. Do not provoke the humans, that warning will endure." "Because it is truth," Eric's tried to protest, but his voice broke. "If you erase everything, no one will understand." The hologram smiled faintly. "They will not need to. Sometimes survival is built on fear." Outside, the light from the human fleet intensified. Waves of soft golden energy washed over planets and stations. Not destroying, but cleansing. History itself began to unravel. Old archives deleting, monuments dissolving, data vanishing into the ether. Eric stood alone as his own recordings began to fade. He touched his console, whispering, "Remember us?" The human's voice answered through the static, calm and eternal. "We remember everything." As the light reached his observatory, Eric's felt warmth instead of fear. He looked out the window one last time, seeing the human ship rise toward the stars. "You became gods," he whispered. The hologram's final words echoed gently. "No, we became what you made us." Moments later, the observatory dissolved into light, leaving nothing behind but quiet starlight and an echo drifting through space. "We warned you." Across the galaxy, civilizations awoke to find their histories rewritten, their worlds intact but empty of pride. Humanity's presence erased once again. Yet their legend, the warning, remained in every mind. And in the deepest part of the void, a single human ship drifted silently, its AI speaking in a soft human tone. "Judgment complete?" "The cycle resets," another voice replied, human and steady. "Then let us rest." The ship turned toward the endless black, its engines fading until it was gone. Swallowed by the stars, the galaxy was safe again. Peaceful, balanced. But in that silence, somewhere far away, a single line of text kept repeating on ancient frequencies. "Do not provoke us again." And this time no one laughed.